Greetings and welcome back to the lesson. Today we are going to study three things. One is professional objectivity. Number two, professional skepticism. And number three, professional judgment. In studying these three things, we will define each of them. We will outline the key aspects and also explain why they are important. Three things: professional objectivity, professional skepticism, and professional judgment. Let's begin with professional objectivity. And before we get into professional objectivity, it's important to mention at the beginning that professional objectivity, professional skepticism, and professional judgment in the realm of auditing, particularly in governance and compliance audits, they are intertwined and foundational qualities that are indispensable for effective and credible work. And they are emphasized by professional bodies like the Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Institute of Certified Secretaries. They are very important qualities in auditing. Now, what is professional objectivity? Now, professional objectivity, candidates, refers to the mental attitude that auditors must maintain, allowing them to remain unbiased and impartial throughout the audit process. It's a mental attitude that the auditors must maintain, which allows them, that mental attitude then allows them to remain unbiased. It allows them to be impartial. It allows them not to be partial throughout the audit process. And it means approaching the audit engagement with a mind that is open, a mind that is free from biases or conflicts of interest or undue influence that could impair an auditor's judgment and conclusions. That's the meaning of professional objectivity. Auditors are required to be objective. They are required to be not to be influenced by anything. They are supposed to approach an audit engagement with an open mind. And that's the meaning of professional skepticism. Now, having defined professional skepticism, then let's now analyze some of the key aspects. What are the aspects? The key aspects of professional skepticism. One aspect just that comes out of the definition is impartiality. Impartiality means not taking part or not being partial. It means treating all information, evidence, and parties involved in the audit fairly and without what we call predisposition. Being impartial. There is also the aspect of absence of bias. One can only be objective if one is unbiased. That means ensuring personal beliefs, emotions, or even interests do not affect the audit findings or recommendations. And that also means not allowing management's wishes or clients' significant revenue or personal relationships to sway your audit conclusions. Unbiased, being unbiased. Saying it as it is. All right? That's another aspect of professional objectivity. The third aspect is freedom from conflict of interest. Freedom of interest. Being professionally objective implies being free from conflict of interest, avoiding situations where personal or financial interests could potentially influence professional judgment. For example, an auditor should not audit an entity in which they have a direct financial stake. If you have a direct financial stake, like having, say, 60% shareholding in company A, then you should avoid auditing, being an auditor of company A. Or if you have blood relations with the top management of the company that you are auditing, then you need to avoid accepting such engagements. So professional objectivity implies freedom from conflict of interest. Then the third aspect is independent mindset. Having an independent mindset, maintaining a state of mind that permits the provision of an opinion without being affected by influences that compromise professional judgment. And this is particularly crucial for external auditors whose independence is paramount. So it's not possible to be objective without being independent. For an auditor to be objective, then that auditor must have an independent mindset. That's the fourth aspect of professional objectivity. Fair presentation is the fifth. Fair presentation is the fifth aspect or characteristic of professional objectivity. Fair presentation means ensuring that audit findings and conclusions are presented fairly and accurately, reflecting the evidence obtained, regardless of whether they are favorable or unfavorable to the auditee company. Fair presentation. If you are found that the company is not complying with laws and regulations, that should be your report, regardless of what the management will do or think. Fair presentation means ensuring that audit findings and conclusions are presented fairly and accurately. The audit findings should reflect the evidence that was gathered in the process of carrying out the audit. That is a feature of professional objectivity. Understand, candidates? Now let's move to professional skepticism. Professional skepticism is also a crucial aspect of an audit process. Professional skepticism means having a questioning mind that auditors must maintain throughout the audit. It involves an attitude that includes a questioning mind, being alert, not accepting facts as true without questioning. You understand? Being alert to conditions that may indicate possible misstatements due to errors or fraud. And also it may involve critical assessment of audit evidence. It implies not taking anything at face value. When you interview management, when you interview employees, we're in the process of gathering evidence, whatever you are told when going through the records or documents, whatever you come across, you should not take it as true at fair value. You are supposed to have a questioning mind. You need to ask questions. You need to assume that whatever you are being told is not true, having doubts about the facts that you come across. So one thing that should come to your mind, candidates, when defining professional skepticism, these are now the features or aspects. Learn to ask questions, question everything. It means not blindly accepting explanations of evidence. Auditors should always ask why and what if. Auditors should also critically assess, they should critically assess evidence. Assess evidence. Critically assess evidence. Critically assess evidence. Evaluate the reliability and sufficiency of audit evidence. That includes challenging assumptions made by management. That may include scrutinizing documentation and seeking corroborative evidence. Professional skepticism may also imply alertness to inconsistencies. Alertness to inconsistencies. Alertness to inconsistencies. Being alert to inconsistencies. That means being watchful for evidence that contradicts other evidence or information or that appears unreliable. That is the fourth feature of professional skepticism. The third feature is recognition of fraud risk. Recognition of fraud risk. That is to mean maintaining an awareness that material misstatements due to fraud could exist regardless of auditors' past experience with the entity or belief about management's integrity. As an auditor, you may have audited the company that you are auditing currently, and out of your experience, you may not have experienced any fraud on the part of management. There could be no integrity issues with the management, but that should not blind you from having still the question in mind. That should not blind you from maintaining an awareness that material misstatements could still exist regardless of past record. Recognition of fraud risk. Another aspect of professional skepticism is avoiding over-reliance. What does that mean? That means not placing undue reliance on past experience with the client or the integrity of management and those charged with governance. Another aspect of professional skepticism is challenging assumptions or assertions, not accepting management's explanations or representations without adequate corroboration. If the assertions, for example, you have information regarding anything, you need to seek corroborative evidence. Seek corroborative evidence from third parties. Don't just take management's assertions as gospel truth. Here I'm talking about assertions. Challenge management's assertions. So that is professional skepticism. And why is it important? Why is professional skepticism important? Why is it crucial? Now, professional skepticism candidates, professional skepticism is the cornerstone of effective auditing because it enables auditors to identify potential issues, to detect errors and fraud, to challenge managements where necessary, and without it, auditors might overlook red flags, they might accept inadequate explanations, and may ultimately fail to discover material misstatements or significant governance weaknesses. It is particularly vital in the context of compliance to ensure that reported adherence is genuinely robust. That's the essence, that's the importance of the professional skepticism. I may also need to explain why professional objectivity is crucial. Now, professional objectivity, candidates, is crucial because without objectivity, an audit report loses its credibility. And we all know that stakeholders rely on auditors to provide an unbiased assessment. And any perceived lack of objectivity undermines trust in the audit process, and it also undermines trust in the auditor's opinion. So that is an explanation why professional objectivity is important and why professional skepticism is important. Let's move to professional judgment. Professional judgment. Professional judgment, by definition, is a critical and important aspect in auditing. Professional judgment is the application of relevant training, knowledge, and experience within the context of auditing and accounting standards in making informed decisions about the courses of action that are appropriate in the circumstances of the audit engagement. It involves a thoughtful and considered decision-making process based on facts, based on professional standards, and based on experience, not on gut feelings or personal opinions alone. You understand? That's the meaning of professional judgment. Meaning of professional judgment. Meaning of professional judgment. You understand? Professional judgment, candidates, I repeat, is the application of relevant training, knowledge, and experience within the context of governance auditing. It involves a thoughtful and considered decision-making process that is based on professional standards, that is based on facts and experience, and not emotions or feelings or gut feeling. So what are the features or aspects? What are the characteristics of professional judgment? One is informed decision making. Informed decision. That is a key aspect of professional judgment. Using expertise, that means using expertise to make sound decisions on complex audit matters where clear-cut rules may not apply. Two, there is the application of standards. That's a key aspect of professional judgment. Interpreting and applying auditing, accounting, governance, and compliance standards to specific situations. An auditor who does that, then that's an auditor who has sound professional judgment, being able to apply standards to specific situations. It also involves evaluating materiality. We all know, candidates, evaluating materiality in governance can be a complex process. It can be ambiguous. It is not as easy as determining materiality in financial auditing. So determining what level of misstatement or non-compliance is significant enough to influence the decisions of users of the audit report is what we are referring to as evaluation of materiality. And that's part of the professional judgment. 4 is assessing risks. Assessment of risk is a key aspect of professional judgment. That means identifying evaluating and also responding to risks of material misstatements or material non-compliance. Then we have 5, sufficiency and appropriateness of evidence. Sufficiency and appropriateness of evidence. That's another aspect of professional judgment. Deciding what type and quantity of audit evidence is needed to form a reasonable conclusion. To form a reasonable conclusion. Then we have the formulating of conclusions. Number 6, formulating conclusions as part of professional judgment. Formulating conclusions. This means drawing logical and well-supported conclusions based on audit evidence that is gathered. Another aspect is recommendations. G. Recommendations. Recommendations means developing practical and effective recommendations to address identified issues. We know in governance and compliance audit, the auditor may identify gaps, may identify weaknesses in the governance and also the compliance framework. And as a result of the gaps that are identified, the auditor is required to make recommendations on how to correct the gaps or to fill the gaps. So recommendations, candidates, is also part of professional judgment. Developing practical and effective recommendations to address identified issues after the audit. Then lastly, we have ethical considerations. GH, ethical considerations as an aspect of professional judgment. Ethical considerations means integrating ethical principles into every decision, especially when facing dilemmas. So that's what professional judgment entails. And why is it crucial, candidates? Why is professional judgment crucial? Now, many aspects of an audit are not black and white. And auditors frequently encounter situations that require them to make subjective decisions based on their professional expertise. And good professional judgment ensures that such decisions are well-reasoned, defensive, and contribute to the quality and relevance of the audit. Because without it, without professional judgment, audits could become rigid, mechanical exercises, and they may fail to provide practical solutions. They may fail to do what? To provide practical solutions. So that's it, candidates, for these 3 concepts. Professional objectivity, professional skepticism, and professional judgment. And these 3 concepts are mutually reinforcing, because objectivity provides the unbiased foundation upon which the audit is built. Skepticism, on the other hand, fuels the critical inquiry and evidence evaluation process. It challenges assumptions and seeks deeper understanding. Judgment, professional judgment, on the other hand, is the ultimate synthesis, applying objectivity and skepticism to make informed decisions throughout the audit process, from planning to execution to reporting findings and also recommendations. And these three, when taken together, professional objectivity, professional skepticism, and professional judgment, these three together ensure that auditors provide high quality, reliable, and value-adding assurance services in governance and compliance. These three also enhance confidence in organizations and their adherence to ethical and legal standards. So that's all, candidates, for our today's lesson on professional objectivity, professional skepticism, and professional judgment, which we did state that in the realm of auditing, particularly in governance and compliance auditing, these three are intertwined and are foundational qualities that are indispensable for effective and credible governance and compliance audit work. And they are emphasized by professional bodies like the Institute of Certified Secretaries. In this lesson, we've defined each of these concepts. We've explained the features of these concepts, and we have explained why they are crucial. So thank you for attending the lesson. We continue to study more on governance and compliance audit in our subsequent sessions. Bye-bye.